Elden Ring's DLC, Shadow of the Erdtree, is going to be filled with a bunch of different weapons that we have never seen before, and you're going to want to upgrade some of these to the highest level possible. So to prepare for that, let me show you how to get a near infinite amount of smithing stones. Let's get into it. Now to get this near infinite amount of smithing stones, you need to go around the world and get certain items called bell bearings, and very specific bell bearings because there's a lot of different ones throughout the game that do and unlock certain things at the round table hold. The particular ones we're looking for are smithing stone bell bearings and somber smithing stone bell bearings. I'm going to go through all those different locations because they range from early game to late game. This will take a while for you to do, but before the DLC comes out, this is definitely something you want to try and do. Starting off with our first smithing stone bell bearing, you want to go the Rhea Lucaria Crystal Tunnel, which can be found a little hidden against the cliffs in the Liurnia section of the map as I'm showing you here. Make your way to the boss room in this area and you're going to have to fight one of the crystalline enemies, I think you pronounce it. Nonetheless, you have to defeat them. Once you do, it will automatically give you the smithing stone minor bell bearing number 1. Now the second bell bearing of the same kind is going to be found in a place called the Sealed Tunnel, which is going to be right near the capital, and it's going to take you a little bit of time to get here if you're not running through the game and haven't had this area unlocked already. This can also be easily missed if you don't check every little corner, because if you haven't gone through the game and unlocked this area before, it's really hidden behind the cliffs. Thankfully, once you do find this location, it's not very hard to get this particular one. All you have to do is follow the pathing that I'm showing you here on screen, going past a bunch of different enemies, open up the chest that is right in front of you, and you'll be able to get this new bell bearing. You get a lot of different smithing stones from this area as well, so I recommend you explore this whole cave. For the third one of this type, you're going to have to make your way to the mountaintop of the giants, or the snowy area as I just easily call it, to the Zamora ruins. Now this will take a little bit of time because this gets you to the mid to late game, so it will take a little bit of time for you to get there if this is your first time through. Now make sure you get to the southern part of these ruins where there's going to be a lot of different enemies basically surrounding these particular set of stairs that you need to go down. It's going to take you a little bit of time to find it potentially, but if you look through the entire ruins, it should be easy enough to find. Once you find the stairs, simply make your way down to the bottom, open up the chest, and you'll be able to get the smithing stone miner's bell bearing number 3. Now to get number 4 of this particular type of bell bearing, you need to go against one of everybody's favorite set of bosses, the Godskin Duel in Ferrum Azula. This is definitely more of a late game location because it really starts to get difficult when you get to this particular location. Now if you haven't beaten these guys before, simply take your time, summon as many things as you possibly can, and be prepared as you possibly can because they're not easy to defeat. Once you do defeat them though, the first time you'll get from them is the smithing stone minor bell bearing number 4. Now that is the final type of that particular bell bearing. There are 5 others of another one that we need to find as well. This other similar but different at the same time set of bell bearings are called the somber smithing bell bearings. They get you different smithing stones compared to the other 4 that we just went through. First one can be found in Celia Crystal Tunnel in Caelid, the rot area of the entire map. It's not the easiest location when you're first starting out the game. And the boss that you have to defeat in this location, which I already defeated before I got my recording done, is called a Falling Star Beast. It does a lot of gravity damage in a very small area, so it's somewhat tricky if you haven't fought one before. Nonetheless, when you do defeat this particular beast, you will get your first somber smithing stone bell bearing. Now the number 2 of this particular type of bell bearing can also be found on the Altus Plateau in the Altus Tunnel. In this location that I'm showing you here, it's kind of like a big divot in the area right before you get to the capital. You'll be able to find this entrance when there's a lot of jellyfish around one of the cliffs. In here, you're going to end up fighting 2 crystal bosses in one boss fight. Now again, just like all the other boss fights, you're just going to have to defeat them and you'll be able to get the second bell bearing. Be prepared that these guys sometimes stagger very easily. Just keep that in mind when you're going into a fight with both of them. Again, once you defeat them, you'll get the bell bearing number 2. Number 3 can also be found on the mountaintop of the giants, and it's going to be next to the First Church of America, which is all the way at the top right corner of this entire mountaintop of the giants location. Now thankfully this particular bell bearing doesn't require you to defeat any enemies or any particular bosses. All you have to do is get to this location, find this dead body right outside the entrance, and you'll be able to get a very easy bell bearing. Now the final 2 can be found in Crumbling Feral Azul, and the first one's going to be right next to this site of grace, Tempest facing balcony site of grace. And thankfully it's very close to the site of grace. It's not just a little bit away, it's literally just across the balcony. So from the site of grace, so you can see, it's going to be very hard to miss. Go to the body that's hanging off the cliff and you'll get the bell bearing number 4. Now this final bell bearing is going to require you basically to defeat a bunch of enemies along the way to the location that I am standing and marking on my map. It is a abandoned part of one of the temples in this area. So from the Dragon Temple rooftop side of grace. When you first get to Crumbling Farum Azul, take the pathing throughout the entire area. You'll fight a dragon, a bunch of beastmen, a couple different eagles. It's a little difficult, but once you get through, you'll get to this temple that I had marked on the map. Inside, you'll go against a couple beastmen priests and a couple beastmen swordsmen. Inside on the body, though, once you have defeated all of them, will be the final bell bearing that we're looking for. Now that you have all of these bell bearings, let's go back to the round table. Once at the round table hold, you want to make your way over to the Two Finger Reader Crone merchant and offer these bell bearings. There will be an option for you to offer as many bell bearings as you've collected, including all the ones that we just went through in this video. Once you have given them all of those different bell bearings, you will see, as you are seeing now on the screen, all the different smithing stones that you can use to almost completely upgrade any weapon that you want in exchange for some of the runes that you collect. Now, the only downside to collecting all these different bell bearings across the entire giant map of Elden Ring is that you are missing some of the final smithing stones that get it to the highest level possible for all the different weapons in the game, and there's nothing that you can collect to then purchase all these different smithing stones. These are, of course, the Ancient Dragon smithing stones, or the Somber Ancient Dragon smithing stones. They're found throughout the entire game, though they are in very small quantities in only a couple different locations and from a bunch of different enemies. Now, to tell you all these specific locations would require an entirely different video that would probably be 10 minutes long, but to make it easy, most of the easy ones you can find are going to be found in Crumbling Farum Azul or the Consecrated Snowfields. Most of the ancient dragons you're going to be fighting in Crumbling Farum Azul are going to drop some of these items or something of similar value, but this is a great place to go to try and get all the different types of smithing stones nonetheless. But now that you have access to all the other smithing stones and pretty much an infinite quantity, as long as you have the runes to purchase them, it's going to make your experience in Elden Ring's DLC that much more enjoyable. I know I'm personally going to be using as many new weapons as possible, and getting them upgraded easily by having all these smithing stones available is going to make it that much more enjoyable to me. So I hope you guys found this video guide helpful. If you did, let me know by hitting the like and subscribe buttons down below, and leave a comment about what you're most excited for Elden Ring's DLC. I'm always curious about that kind of stuff. But once again, I hope you guys did find this guide helpful, and I'll catch you on the next video.